In the fading light of a stormy evening, Claire Morgan, a 28-year-old historian with shoulder-length auburn hair and a navy trench coat, stepped out of her car. Before her loomed the Morgan estate, a Victorian mansion with blackened windows, wrought iron gates, and ivy crawling up cracked walls. The wind howled through the twisted oaks lining the driveway, scattering dead leaves across the cobblestone path. She clutched her leather satchel, her heart pounding. This was her family's long-abandoned home, and tonight she intended to uncover its secrets. Claire's boots echoed on the front steps as she slid an ornate brass key into the lock. The door groaned open, revealing a grand, dust-choked foyer lit only by the dim, orange glow of a single flickering chandelier. A sweeping staircase curved upward, its railing draped in cobwebs. Somewhere deep inside the house, a floorboard creaked, though no one was there. She whispered to herself, "Just the wind," but her voice sounded too small in the vast, cold air. As she moved toward the library, she heard it, a faint whisper, like a breath against her ear. "Welcome home." Her blood froze. The library door was ajar, and the room beyond smelled faintly of smoke and old paper. A portrait of her great-grandfather, Edward Morgan, hung above the fireplace, his painted eyes following her every step. She blinked, swearing his lips had curled into a faint smile. Claire lit a brass oil lamp, its warm light spilling over tall shelves and dust-covered chairs. In the corner, shadows shifted unnaturally, as if someone were standing there. She stepped closer, but the space was empty. The lamp flickered. Then, soft, deliberate footsteps echoed down the hall behind her. When she turned, the doorway was empty, but the air was colder. She entered the study, its desk still covered with brittle papers and an open journal. The handwriting was hurried and erratic. "The spirits grow restless. The pact must be honored." Suddenly, the pen lying on the desk lifted into the air, suspended for 2 seconds before clattering back down. The window slammed shut behind her, rattling the glass. Venturing upstairs, Claire entered the hall of mirrors, a corridor lined with tall, gilded frames. Her reflection seemed to lag a split second behind her movements. One mirror showed her younger, another older, and one dead. She staggered back, heart racing, and the mirrors cracked in unison with a deafening snap. In the attic, she found a circle of candles burned down to wax puddles. At the center was an antique wooden spirit board carved with the Morgan family crest. She sat down and placed her fingers on the planchette. "Is someone here?" she whispered. The planchette slid to yes. Then it spelled out, "Get out." Lightning flashed through the attic window, revealing a tall figure in a dark Victorian suit, Edward Morgan himself, standing in the corner. His eyes were black voids, his mouth moving without sound. She stumbled backward, and when lightning flashed again, he was gone, but the temperature had dropped so low she could see her breath. Searching the attic, Claire discovered a loose panel behind an old wardrobe. She pushed it aside, revealing a narrow hidden passage lit by faint candlelight. The walls were covered in symbols drawn in soot and blood. She descended the steep, creaking stairs, each step groaning beneath her weight. The passage led to a stone-walled basement chamber. A pentagram was etched into the floor, surrounded by bones and broken chains. An altar stood at the far end, its surface stained dark. As she approached, the ground trembled slightly and the candles flared with blue flames. A deep, guttural voice filled the air. "You should not be here." Her vision blurred as shadows surged toward her, wrapping around her arms and chest. She gasped, unable to move, her reflection in a broken mirror showing her eyes turning black. Edward's voice whispered from inside her head, "Join us, Claire." She fought to steady her breath. On the altar, she saw an ancient dagger with runes glowing faintly. Summoning every ounce of strength, she grabbed it and drove it into the pentagram's center. The chamber roared with wind, candles exploding into darkness. The floor cracked open, swallowing the shadows into an abyss. The entire estate began to shudder. Plaster rained from the ceiling as walls split open. Claire ran through the collapsing halls, dodging falling beams and shattering glass. Edward's figure appeared again at the foot of the staircase, but this time his face was twisted in rage. She sprinted past him toward the front door. She burst through the mansion's doors into the pouring rain. The estate groaned and collapsed behind her, a thunderous cloud of dust and debris rising into the stormy night. In the lightning's flash, she thought she saw figures, dozens of them, watching her from the ruins. Exhausted, she reached her car and glanced back one last time. For just a second, the Morgan estate stood whole again, lights glowing warmly in its windows. Edward Morgan waved from the front steps. She blinked, and the ruins returned. She started the engine and drove away, the whisper following her into the night. "Welcome home,"